Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and right out of the gates, I want to say thank you to my audience, to the Burmis Brigade, for being there for me, for sending me information exclusively that I'm getting out to the world, and we're going to go over some of that information in a moment, but now is the time to thumbs this video up, subscribe, share this stuff. I'm going to try to do this without flying off the handle and using obscene language, and laying this out in a calm and concise manner for people. Because right now, maybe, just maybe, we have a chance to reach the rest of the population in the United States to let them know what's truly going on. And that will be the lockdown of New York City, then New York. In fact, right now, we're waiting on de Blasio to make some comments, and we may go live to that. And then you'll see Washington State, California, and Florida eventually fall as well, with restrictions throughout the country. Maybe not a full militarization at first, but restrictions throughout the country. Okay? So just to hammer this point home, because I've been talking about this, and this was one of the main things I said, people might wake up when their two-day delivery is gone. Well, that's well gone today. I told you that Trump talked about talking with Amazon, Bezos, Walmart, Kroger's, a bunch of companies, Google, you name it, Apple. He's talked to them all. Okay? So right now, there will be no shipments from Amazon other than medical supplies and high-demand products. Now, you can define high-demand products as whatever you want. I'm sure a lot of that will be of the vitamin variety and food variety while it's there. But right now, Amazon, again, is limiting basically shipping anything. So you're not going to have your two-day delivery. And with what the economy is doing and the dollar is doing and the global economy, it's unclear how much that money's really going to be worth. I mean, Trump was just on TV talking about basically giving every American a check for $1,000, preparing everybody that there will be a lockdown, with at the same time saying he doesn't see that as a solution. This is a script at this point. That's all this is. I want people to understand that and get it. Now, I also want people to understand that, look, YouTube is now openly saying they may just get rid of content that does not go against community guidelines. Now, I'll tell you this. If you caught my Cuomo laying it all out video from a couple days ago, where he discusses retrofitting SUNY dorms, okay? Retrofitting SUNY dorms as hospitals via the Army Corps of Engineers, right? Right? That got remonetized. Everything in there is factual, and we're going to go over some pretty hard factual stuff in a moment. Now, apparently there was a cyber attack, okay, that occurred where the CDC sent out a message that there would be a mass quarantine, okay? It went out on Monday, but it was upcoming. Now, they're saying it was a hack and it went out. Here's the thing. It doesn't have to be a hack, and it didn't have to be a real message for quarantine at that time, or a lockdown, national lockdown, right? What that does is that prepares people, and they can gauge the shock as that wave goes through, right? Now, this is real. And again, thank you so much to all those out there sending me things that we all need to see and understand right now. Oh, is that not going to work? I guess not. I was trying to get it so it could zoom in, but I can read that. Among the measures that state and local authorities may implement to contain COVID-19 spread is establishment of containment areas, quarantine zones, or other forms of geographically defined restrictions on access and specified activities. Again, they're talking to us like children. Period. That's what's going on here. I want everybody to understand that. In the event of such restrictions imposed in local areas as part of containment and mitigation strategy, the potential preclusion of workers' access to infrastructure and facilities, the covered zones, and impede operations of railroads, freight, and passenger. The order for quarantine or containment would likely not be directed at railroad operations or infrastructure. Remember I told you to invest in infrastructure? This is what I meant. This is what I meant. Because flights, that type of infrastructure, other than, again, shipments, and most of that is done by sea, aren't going to be, and military stuff, aren't going to be in demand because no one's going to be traveling. In fact, they were talking about the collapse of the airline industry and how it was worse than what? 9/11. And they also talked about Depression era. This was in the Trump, this was at the Trump press conference. There's already been 2 today. Depression era stuff. Remember when I told you this is what? 1929 meets 9/11 in a slow rollout. This is a global event. Make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it, folks. And if you haven't talked to your loved ones yet, if you haven't gotten out the word, you need to. It has to happen. Now's the time. Okay? So again, they're not going to be restricted as much, and they're going to have to, remember, show your papers, please, in the new America. That's what we're talking about. But those activities and sites will be within defined areas of quarantine, containment, and restriction zones. So they know that what they'll be doing is working in places where other people can't. Okay? In the interest of the welfare of residents and businesses in areas affected by such conditions and the maintaining essential supply chains, it is critical to assure continued rail operations as safe conditions allow. For this purpose, law enforcement officers and emergency management officials, that's FEMA, and FEMA's coming. They're going to be right outside my house. It's upsetting. I'm not liking it. All right, we're going to have FEMA here. You get it? People need to grow up. This isn't funny. In fact, one of the other texts I got today is we're looking at like an Italy-style lockdown, again, by the end of the week, at least in my area in New York. If not, again, the suggestion nationwide, there'll be a lot of suggestions before they actually become things. But then now we have three confirmed cases within my area of Cooperstown, Oneonta, etc., and 1 person dead. There's been no announcement of somebody dead in my area. They're talking to you like children. Thank you for leaking this. Okay, period. All right. So again, emergency management officials charged with responsibility for oversight and access control at areas affected by restrictions imposed as part of an overall strategy to contain the spread of COVID-19 are respectfully asked to grant employers of Norfolk Southern Corporation with proper photographic identification and as a safe condition allow approval to cross police lines, roadblocks, and control points in direct support of activities to maintain safe and efficient train operations. This is the your papers, please aspect I keep telling you guys about. People, we need to share this information with others. They have to understand what's about to happen. Expect bank runs. They're killing this economy, but they're trying to prop it back up in some people's eyes, and they got the hope. They got the belief. Even Trump was saying the economy is over today, guys. He's saying the rebound's going to be fantastic. It's going to be great. But he basically was calling for Truman era. Okay? Truman era. World War II era. Franklin Delano Roosevelt era politics. Because politics are over, baby. And I'm sorry if I was emotional and people, didn't, love how I came out with this information. I'm sorry if people called me a fearmonger for telling the truth. I'm sorry that I'm blocking people that believe that superheroes on message boards are going to save us all and this is a good thing. No, the deaths are real. The treatment of people, like people tell me they haven't seen any deaths or names. Please, it's right here. I'm going to put it in the chat. Share it with all your delusional friends. There are names named, phone numbers given, okay? And this was early on. And they treated these people not like humans, in my opinion. And that's unacceptable. And that's why I was emotional, because the military is coming. The military is coming, and they're easing you into the numbers, right? If you look, this was a leaked part of a slideshow, absolutely real. Shepard Ambellis has done the best work. He doesn't get it right all the time. We butted heads quite a bit on our interview, but boy, did he get the pandemic right. Did he get that it was coming here right? Did he get the containment zones right? Did he get the martial law right? And remember, there is no outbreak in New Rochelle, New York, more than anywhere else in New York. In fact, New York City is probably the most highly dense populace because they're on top of each other. And that's just how this thing works. That's how contagious it is. But they've done selective testing. Again, why? So the military can trap people in. And when they talk about, okay, and this is in the first 2 months, by the way, 96 million cases. Remember, they put out 140 million to 210 million recently. They upped the game because this was an early leak. But the deaths, they don't talk about 500,000 deaths at all. At all. Okay? And whether or not there's going to be 500,000 deaths, I'm not here to scare you. But you have to understand, if there was 96 million cases, most of them would be in a city like New York at outbreak points, and most of them would be in cities like Chicago or Los Angeles. Do you understand how it works? So they're treating us like children. They're about to militarize the streets. Okay, and if you don't think that's happening, we have to really look again at reality. When I first did my video on how there was no outbreak in New Rochelle and that the National Guard was being deployed there to eventually become the containment point and block off the 3 access areas to New York State, and we do it live here. New York State map. Bip-bidi-bop. Thumbs this video up, everybody. Okay? What everybody needs to understand is New York City's only like that, and then there's Long Island behind Queens. See this? That's it. Westchester is not the outbreak zone. Westchester is where they can bottleneck the rest of the city in. You see this beautiful big old state? That's where I live, baby. I live right in around here, in this region, right and around here, okay? Otsego County, okay? We're actually right here. I think it's hard to read. I should know the shape of my county. But it's affecting me too. I've got biotents outside, okay? And if you don't think the military's coming, it was the Army National Guard Education Services blue check mark that hearted my video explaining this to people now over a week ago. There were drills in Hollywood, in LA, when? The last week of February, okay? And they had the same drills about a week later in my neck of the woods, 10, 15 miles away. This is reality. Do you think they don't already know where they're going? Do you think the plan hasn't been laid out? Like there's like this headbutting going on between Cuomo saying, we're not going to quarantine, but we need the Army Corps of Engineers. We need Trump to help. And then Trump batting back, Cuomo needs to do more. They already know what's going to happen. They're bringing in the Army Corps of Engineers. They're retrofitting the SUNY offices. They're treating us like children. And right now, we're just waiting on de Blasio to drop some big old bombs. Drop this bomb. Thumbs this video up, subscribe, share, join the Burmist Brigade. We're covering this. We're going hard. I'm feeling a little bit more like myself because I got my family prepared thanks to you guys. I got the people out that I reached. I wish I could have got more loved ones out of New York City. If you can still get a loved one out of New York City, you might have a day or two. You might have a day or two. I predicted by Wednesday they would lock that place down. I think they're going to announce a soft lockdown and only essential travel for New York City right now. So that actual lockdown could come tomorrow, like I've said. But you just saw the black helicopter part of the drill. You need to see the other part of the drill. Because this, again, look at this. This is the same week of February that what? We saw the Apache helicopters over here. And this is what those drills are.
No ID?
No, ma'am.
Let's stop that. Those are what appear to be American citizens in middle America out in the country shooting at American soldiers as the enemy. Those are the drills. Oh, wait. There's the military surrounding those that survived, that they captured. I mean, it doesn't... Oh.
Hey, this guy there. Hey.
Now think about that. That's represents a Costco parking lot or a Walmart parking lot where they're dropping in from these black helicopters armed and firing. Okay? For those that did just join us and they're asking what Amazon announced, let's recap that quickly. Yes, again, forget about your 2-day shipping and Amazon Prime and all that other stuff. It's all going to be medical supplies and high-demand products. And remember, most high-demand products that are food, vitamins, essentials, etc., already gone. They gone. Okay? Here we go.
People stepping up, a lot of people helping out, a lot of people really coming to the defense of New York City and the people of New York City. And so there is some good news, and I'm happy to announce one piece of good news as we fight this virus and this challenge. Last night, Health and Hospitals, our public health care system, reached an agreement with BioReference Libraries. And BioReference Libraries is one of the largest testing companies in America. This is an example of a real public-private partnership at a time of tremendous need. This agreement will allow our public health care system to ensure that up to 5,000 coronavirus tests per day can be done. I want to say that again. We will have the capacity in our public health system, just our public hospitals and clinics,
Can you imagine?
to perform up to 5,000 coronavirus tests per day.
Can you imagine what the
That
numbers are really going to
capacity will
be?
start to come online on Thursday. It will ramp up in the coming days until we reach that daily total. This is a huge increase in testing capacity for the city of New York as a whole, and specifically for health and hospitals. You're going to hear a little later on from Dr. John Cohen, who is someone I've known for a very long time and have tremendous admiration for, the executive chairman of BioReference Laboratories. I want to thank you, Dr. Cohen, and your whole team for working so fast and so effectively with our team to come to an agreement and to put this testing capacity online. So I'll give a number of other updates, and then you'll hear directly from Dr. Cohen, and we will start the Q&A with questions specifically about testing and this agreement before we go to other matters related to coronavirus.
Here we go.
Once the testing capacity is up, starting on Thursday, the tests can be processed in 1 to 2 days, so that's a strong turnaround time. And the focus will be, and we'll say this throughout, on those who are currently hospitalized and who are medically in danger, and those who are in general the most vulnerable. But we're going to be very careful about the prioritization of these tests, even with this substantial new capacity. This will be a highly prioritized approach to testing. I want people to be very clear that our healthcare professionals are determining those priorities. Prioritized approach to testing. I want people to be very clear that our healthcare professionals are determining those priorities, and we're going to stick to those priorities to ensure we can help those who truly need the testing most.
So it
and to
feels like
protect
selective
our
testing
entire
still.
Healthcare system. So, want that to be clear. We'll clarify more as we go through the Q&A. I'm going to say, and I know my healthcare colleagues are going to say, many reminders throughout this press conference that the guidance remains for those who are sick with the cold and flu type symptoms and only have mild or moderate symptoms. The guidance is to stay home. Do not go to the emergency room or a clinic. Remember, there are those who are immediately in real danger who need those facilities to be available to them. The goal for everyone is wait 3 or 4 days. If your symptoms improve, then you're good. If they don't or get worse, that's when you need to contact, first by phone, your healthcare provider. And this has evolved over the last few weeks as this crisis has deepened. So this is what we need people to do. If you're sick, stay home. Do not go to work. Do not go out. Do not come in contact with other people. And then give it 3 or 4 days to see if it develops further. So that's about the announcement today of the 5,000 tests per day capacity going to health and hospitals. Want to go to another update, very different one, but very much about how we have, going forward, how we'll have the capacity, the medical capacity and all the capacity, logistical support that we need to protect New Yorkers in a growing crisis. About an hour ago, I spoke with the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the United States Armed Forces.
Here we go.
General Mark Milley.
Here come the military.
We had a detailed conversation about the capacity that the armed forces could bring to bear to address a crisis like coronavirus. And we went over details in terms of different options of what the military might be able to provide. I want to thank General Milley for his willingness to provide assistance.
Joint Chiefs of
Staff. And it is quite clear that our military is in a high state of readiness, and we agreed to continue to communicate and to work closely.
They are going to quarantine that city.
Very much appreciate the update that I received from General Milley, and even though we are waiting for a lot to happen, particularly decision-making in Washington to happen, it is comforting, it is definitely comforting to hear of the extraordinary capacity of the United States military and that the military is in a high state of readiness to be able to provide support to not only New York but other parts of the country as well. Now I want to talk about a question that's on everybody's mind, and that is the issue of shelter in place.
Here we go.
This is a reality that is being talked about because this crisis continues to grow. We are all deeply concerned about the direction and the trajectory, even as we get new information daily and hourly, and we're trying to better understand the specific trajectory.
What they're telling you now is happening tomorrow. Do you understand? Like, they tell it to you now, and then tomorrow, the next day, it becomes a real thing.
The right guidance to give all New Yorkers is, even though a decision has not yet been made by the city or by the state, I think New Yorkers should be prepared right now for the possibility of a shelter-in-place order.
It's already been decided. Slow rollout.
But it is definitely a possibility at this point.
Slow rollout.
I believe that decision should be made in the next 48 hours. And it's a very, very difficult decision. I want to emphasize that. It is difficult anywhere in the United States of America.
That means it could come before 2 days from now. Get out of the city. 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 Get out of the city.
Populated together. But I think the point has come where that decision does have to be made. We will be communicating closely with the state. Obviously, as a decision we want to make in common. And I think it's just right to let people know that there is that possibility. To be clear,
the military is coming.
There are tremendously substantial challenges that would have to be met. And I don't take this lightly at all. Folks have to understand that right now, with so many New Yorkers losing employment, losing paychecks, dealing with all sorts of stresses and strains, I'm hearing constantly from people who are tremendously worried about how they're going to make ends meet. In that scenario, a shelter in place begs a lot of questions. What is going to happen with folks who have no money? How are they going to get food?
How are they?
Get medicines? How are we going to ensure in a dynamic like that that supplies are sufficient for our population? What role does the government need to play to ensure that the proper distribution occurs and no one gets left out? There's a lot of unanswered questions. And I would dare say those questions are particularly difficult in a city as large as New York City. But I believe we have to quickly come to grips with those questions and determine different contingency plans while deciding if this is the right strategy to move forward with. And that statement obviously connects with the update on the number of confirmed cases. Now, we have information that is updated since the governor...
I'm just going to stop it right there, guys. Look, once again, while you can, and if you're new, this is the update. Just so you understand, Amazon's going to be basically a shipping plant for the government via medical supplies and high demand products. And it won't even really matter whether or not you're an Amazon Prime member or you use the service, because everything's shutting down. This is a slow rollout. Gear up, get ready. You just heard what he said. Talk to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Here come the military. Trump's in a fake fight with Cuomo. Cuomo's talking about retrofitting SUNY dorms as hospitals. Does anybody not get it yet? Does anybody not get it? Please, if you can give, I'm going to put this in there, $5, $10, $15. If you give me a big donor, again, I'm putting this all towards preparing for this in my family, because when I say in my backyard, I mean literally in my backyard. 10 feet away from my home, not even that, I'm going to have FEMA with their drive-through testing at Walgreens. You want to talk about fascism, this is it, man. I mean, this is the government and big corporations working together to save the people. Doesn't matter what you think about this virus or any of that. That's out the window. Again, here you go. This is the document showing you. It's exclusive. Follow me. Go check it out. Go retweet it. Someone tried telling me it's fake. I mean, people tell me it's fake, and you literally have the guy's signature on it, his cell phone. I mean, I didn't even black anything out because I'm not blacking anything out. People need to understand this is real. All right? So get ready. If you don't have some parts of the country, it's not going to be as bad, because I don't think they're going to lock down the entire country the same way they're going to lock down New York State, California, Washington, Florida. I'm not Nostradamus, guys, but think about how many things I've gotten right. And I didn't curse once, and I'm trying to keep it together. And I'm going to try to use this, latest de Blasio press conference as a tool to maybe convince those last-minute people that I love very much. They're real people with real names, all right? To get out of there and try to make a plan. People are asking me what to do. Have a plan for your family. At least be able to provide for them. Don't be on the breadline. You don't want to be on the breadline. All right? So thumbs this video up. Share it with others. Maybe we can get it past the algorithm of trying to suppress it, because, again, we started with this Amazon story, and de Blasio went live, and I just had a feeling that's where we were going to hear about, shelter in place, which is what? Lockdown, which is quarantine, and the military and the Joint Chiefs of Staff. So everybody calling me a fearmonger, I'm sorry I was right. I wanted to be wrong about this more than anything else. And you watch my coverage from a month and a half, 2 months ago. It was nowhere near this. But things are deadly serious. I'm not lying to you. I love you guys. I really do. It's never been about left and right, right? It doesn't. This is not real politics, is it? This is about right and wrong and what you're going to do for your family, for your community, okay? And for the human race. I absolutely love you. Thank you, guys. I'll see you on the flip side.